It's time for Delivering Marketing Joy. This episode of Delivering Marketing Joy is brought to you by Gold Star. When you're looking for the simplest, most creative ways to buy promotional writing instruments, go to goldstarpens.com/DMJ to learn more and get your free Simplicity Starter Kit. On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, we talk with PPAI's Paul Bellantone about the Expo, Promotional Products Work Week, and why puppies make a trade show better. Hey there, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman, and joining me today is the Grand Poobah. I know that's not his real title, but I think he's president and CEO of PPAI. And Paul Bellantone is a repeat guest, and I always appreciate him taking the time. I know you're busy. Paul, thanks so much.
Kirby, this is a pleasure. I'm sorry we weren't able to schedule it a little bit sooner. We've both been out and about, but this works terrific. So
yeah, that's cool. So one of the things I know is you and I saw each other briefly at the Ppai Expo. And for those who don't know, that's the biggest industry event that we have. And I haven't had a chance to talk to you since. So I wanted to just dig in real quick. How was this year's show? Do you think it's still a great way to kick off the new year?
I think it's the only way to kick off the new year. Kirby. That was a loaded question.
Yeah, right.
We actually had, it was a good show. It was strong. Our attendance was in the top. I think it was the top numbers we've had in almost 10 years.
Wow.
Really, really strong attendance. We were flat on the exhibit side, so same number of companies as in the past, but our attendance was up, I want to say 6 or 7% over the year prior. And I think that companies are saying, I'm going to be doing less trade shows this year. They might not be going to 2 or 3 shows throughout the year. They may be picking one regional, but they're using the Expo as the kickoff to the year. And I like to say it's because it's more than just a trade show. It's the annual convention. So whether you were there for the AMA conference that we had for the first time on the back end, or the Sales and Marketing Executives conference we had on the back end, or Education Day, or Volunteer, or any of the literally dozens of other programs that we have going on, Common SKU and sales meetings, I think people are looking at it as the industry's annual convention. It's a big umbrella event. We did some pretty cool things this year too, Kirby, that I think generated excitement.
For sure.
We had pop-ups on the show floor. I don't know if you're aware of that, but we were able to let people know that in a certain area at a certain time, we were either going to have, Swedish meatballs on the aisle 2300, or ice cream on, 6,000 aisle, or the most popular one we found out was puppies.
Yeah.
Puppies on the show floor. And I think that just added an element of engagement and surprise and excitement that just changed the event a little bit again.
Yeah, no, I actually thought that was genius, Paul. It was really, and you talk about creating its own virality. All of a sudden, you start seeing posts on social media about puppies, and you're like, "What's going on?" So it was great. That was really, really super smart.
It was funny. I had, we hire a lot of consultants to come in and give us outside views of the industry and what we should be doing with the trade show and what's happening on other industries. And I was telling a friend this about the puppies. And she said, I hope you didn't pay somebody to tell you that. All you had to do is just ask anybody what they would like in the middle of the day to calm them down. So,
no, that was pretty good.
That was a freebie. That one came from within the staff.
Yeah, that was a good one. So the big news that I saw recently is PPAI, your organization, has recently taken over the management of SAC. So can you talk a little bit about how that came to be and why?
Yep. So SAC is the Specialty Advertising Association in California. It represents Southern California Regional. And it's one of the 27 regional associations that PPAI supports to different levels throughout the year. They had a vacancy in their executive director position. Dante Shannon, who was an excellent executive director, left them. And we just recognized how critical a strong Southern California regional is, not only to our industry, but to PPAI. And we offered up the opportunity for SAC to entertain us as a potential management contract. So actually serving as the executive director of SAC. And they considered it, and they mulled it over, and we made them, I don't know that the deal we cut was any more beneficial than they could have gotten financially from someone else. But I do know that they considered the fact that, one, we're not going to let it fail.
Right.
And we have some history there. And one of the ways I look at it is, we have a $10.5 million property in Las Vegas, which is 4 hours away from Southern California and 4 months away. And it's important for us to make sure that we have representation in Southern California talking about the things that PPAI does as well. So we did a couple of things. We hired an executive director full-time.
Okay.
So we will have somebody working specifically with SAC. Her name is Jennifer Bingham. And she's already hit the ground running. And Jennifer will be supported by the 80 professionals here at PPAI that help run trade shows and magazines and do marketing and accounting and membership recruitment. So not only will it get the executive director that they've had in the past, but they'll be supported by the 80 folks that are supporting PPAI members here as well.
No, I think it's a super interesting concept, and I think it's interesting to see you guys kind of step up to the plate in that way. So I appreciate you sharing that. So
two things about it. I think I want to share. I think all regionals are facing really specific challenges that I think are mirroring what's happening in the industry. When you look at the level of consolidation and mergers and acquisitions that are happening, I think that it would be a mistake for any organization to think that they can run 3 years and 5 years from now the same way that they're running today. I believe strongly in the regional association community, but I think the way that they serve the members, a changing membership, is going to change over the next couple of years. Second thing, Kirby, we did a listening tour last week. I don't know if you watched it on social media, but we visited with members that were highly engaged in SAC, some that may have drifted away over the past couple of years, some that had concerns, some that were happy, and just went in and said, what do you want from your regional association, and how can PPAI as the management group help serve you? And they were clear in what they wanted. They want to be represented both at the national level and at the regional level. They want a strong trade show. They want networking. They want community. The same things that I think people want at the national level.
Yeah. Well, if you don't mind, I want to go off script, off topic a little bit here. I just want to ask you, I mean, you are traveling around. You're talking to both suppliers and distributors all over the country. I mean, as you put, if you could take a temperature of the overall industry, the economy, I mean, how do you think business is going?
I think we're really healthy right now. I put 2018 at mid-digit signal growth, around 5 or 6%. Which is consistent what we've seen over the last couple of years, still stronger than GDP.
Yeah.
I know that our marketplace, promotional products, is actually growing faster than most of the other media. So those are two things that are in our favor. What I'm finding, Kirby, though, is that smaller companies are struggling more than the larger companies are. And I can give you an example. Over the last decade, for most of the years, of the last decade, larger companies and small companies split up the pie about 50-50. So companies over $2.5 million were doing half of the industry's revenue, those under. This past year, it was 60-40 in favor of the larger companies. That is a significant shift. This was an election that would be a landslide, 60-40.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to watch some of the smaller companies struggle a little bit more. And I think it's because of the investments that are necessary to stay competitive, whether it be investments in technology or in compliance or in recruiting. I think that there's some benefit to scale for our industry, and I think that might play out. A little too soon to know whether or not it's a trend, but we'll see if that plays out over the coming quarters and year.
That's insight. I love it. That's great stuff, Paul. So final question for you. Promotional Products Work Week will be coming up before too long. You know that I love this. I love that you guys champion that and kind of remind us as an industry to do the same. So what are a few things you want distributors and suppliers to do to help you sort of create a buzz about our industry?
Okay, so just I'll go backwards before I go forward.
Okay.
Promotional Product Work Week is the week where we celebrate our industry.
Yep.
And we do it in a number of ways. We do it while we're in Washington, D.C. We have our legislative week. We try to, our Legislative Education and Action Day, we try to have that coincide with Promotional Products Work Week. So we will be in Washington, D.C. advocating for our industry in front of our members of Congress and senators. We have 5 days set aside that week for us to be doing different things. One of them is to say thank you to customers. So go out and touch your customers for something other than an invoice or a sales pitch. Just thank them for being great customers. We have the opportunity to get engaged legislatively and send a letter to your member of Congress or do a local visit. We're doing open houses. We have regionals that are coordinating open houses both on the supplier side and on the distributor side. We have the opportunity of Give Back Day for you to do something in your community. So I would say to pay attention to the information that's going to be coming out. You know, Kim Tedora, our public relations manager, does a really good job of communicating that. And then pick the one or two things that most closely reflect your company. Yeah. So if you feel like you know, your next door neighbor happens to be a member of Congress, well, go knock on his door and say something kind about our industry. You have, if your company is one that's involved in giving back in the community or some kind of charitable event, well, talk about that and let us help you celebrate that. So send us a news release, communicate it, link it in with this week. Most of all, get in touch with your customers. Remind them, one, that you appreciate that they're customers, but two, that promotional products work and participate with your regional community and get engaged. That's the biggest thing you can do, is get engaged.
It's great stuff. And Paul, I know I've said this to you a bunch of times. I really do appreciate you guys sort of taking a lead on that, pardon the pun. But I really do. It's one of those things where I think that we all want to do those things, but we get lost in the whirlwind of day to day. And having that reminder is super helpful. So I, for one, love it.
It's growing every year. I think this is our 8th year of Work Week. Time flies on this one, you know, and so we have this happening in the spring. We have Advertising Week happening in the fall. We have the work that we're doing with AMA. It's really just another way that we celebrate our industry and then the value of the practitioners that make up this industry.
That's awesome. Well, Paul, you have answered my questions. I appreciate that. I always give everybody a chance to ask me one question. Do you have one for me?
I do. I was thinking about this over the weekend, and then this morning I was like, now I know what it is. I woke up in a T-shirt this morning that said Hasseman Brewing on it. When I was out visiting with you last year,
awesome.
I went to your little side gig there to your brewery. My question to you is, what hustle do you have going on the side now? You always have something interesting that you're passionate about. Yeah. Equally to promotional products. So what is it that you're working on now that's not related to our industry, but that's just as exciting as our industry?
Oh man, that's a great question. And I love questions that I don't know are coming too. So that's awesome. So the Hasseman Brewing's still rolling. So that's going well. We're looking at doing private labeling, which is kind of a new thing that's tied to the industry. My wife is doing something that I'm really excited about. We have bought another building that she's renovating. And so she's like, I deserve none of the credit. She's working on that. And then it's funny. This is probably the first time I've mentioned this. I haven't told anybody, but I'm actually working on a new book. So okay. I've got 4 chapters roughed out right now. And so, actually that's probably the thing I'm most excited about right this minute is working on a book that kind of mirrors some of the content that I create through speaking and through blogging and stuff like that. So great question, man. That's fun.
Well, it's funny because we all have 24 hours, same 24 hours in a day. And you managed to squeeze so much into yours. Just that day in the life, I remember, that was just one segment of probably 5 things that you had going on that day. And I admire that. You don't let a lot of grass grow under your feet. A lot of pots there.
Well, thank you. I sincerely appreciate that. And hey, I gotta get my trip coming back to Dallas. We talked about that at one point. I'm gonna come and visit you guys, so we'll do that.
Right. You can be me for a day. Good luck with that.
I would love it. That's cool. Well, Paul, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. We, of course, will do it again. Thanks so much. And that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time. This episode of Delivering Marketing Joy is brought to you by Gold Star. When you're looking for the simplest, most creative ways to buy promotional writing instruments, go to goldstarpens.com/DMJ to learn more and get your free Simplicity Starter Kit.